Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bon Voyage Besties with your favorite Jersey girls, Rosa and Rachel. And today we're super excited because we're going to be talking about a destination that I personally love, and so does my girl, Rachel. And today we're excited to have Adeline join us. She is the founder of Savor and Soap Travel Co., a boutique travel company specializing in trips to Japan. Adeline is passionate about transforming your personal interests into unforgettable itineraries. Whether that means museum hopping in Naoshima Island or unwinding in a dreamy onsen in Kyushu, or diving deep into Japan's food, art, and culture in a way that feels completely tailored just for you. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can plan a truly memorable trip to Japan, designing a journey that genuinely reflects your interests to balance the iconic landmarks with hidden gems. Adeline shares her insider tips on making Japan feel intentional, immersive, and unforgettable. So get ready, besties, because we're going to take you all the way to Japan. So welcome, Adeline, to the show.
Welcome to Bon Voyage Besties. We're so excited.
Thank you guys so much. Excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, we're super excited. Japan has been a destination. I've only gone once, but it left like a huge impact in my life. And I am so ready to go back. So we're super excited to have you here to share your insight, tips, and suggestions to help our listeners plan an epic adventure. So before we get started, would you like to tell listeners a little bit more about yourself and what inspired you to travel to Japan for the first time?
Yeah, I actually kind of ended up in Japan for the first time on accident, as one does. After graduating from university, I got a job teaching English in Beijing, China, and I lived there for 3 years. I ended up teaching English for a hot minute, and then I got a job in marketing, and my company had an office in Fukuoka in Western Japan. And so after living in Beijing for a few years, it was amazing, but it was also really overwhelming at times. And so I campaigned really hard for them to transfer me to their Japan office. They did, and I moved there, and I absolutely fell in love with Japan. I had zero expectations when I moved to Japan. This was back in 2012. I spoke zero Japanese. I had zero idea of what to expect, and I just landed and I loved it. So I stayed there for 4 years, and I met my husband there. He's Japanese, and he was the one who unfortunately got a job in the US. So we moved back to the US, but now I split my time between the US and Japan.
That is such an amazing
Amazing.
story. I absolutely love it. And like Rosa, I adore Japan as well. I've only been one time too. And when I say I look up those flights to Tokyo, Haneda direct from Newark every week, that is not an exaggeration. I am always on there thinking about the next time that I want to go to Japan. So, what inspired you to get into the travel industry side of things?
Yeah, when I lived in Japan, again, I worked for that marketing company for a very short time once I got transferred to Japan, and I actually ended up opening my own fitness studio. So I was working with some travelers, some people who were in Japan studying Japanese, and then a lot of people who were Japanese and wanted to connect with people from other places. So I taught my classes all in English. So it was a really fun community. So I worked, let's say, travel industry adjacent in Japan. And then when we were planning to move back to the US, a friend told me about a travel company inside Japan Tours, which is also based here, kind of in the Denver area. And so I started working for them and learned actually how to plan trips to Japan, kind of taking some of the local knowledge, the language knowledge, and then being able to apply that actually to helping people go to Japan.
That's really awesome. That just sounds like the dream job, just planning trips to Japan. I already know that I want to go back. Like I said, it's been a fantastic destination for me. It means so much to me, and I keep looking for the opportunity to go back again. So, when someone approaches you and is like, "Hey, I want to go to Japan," what's the first question you ask them to get the ball rolling? Because I know when I was planning my first trip to Japan, it was so much research and it was very easy to get overwhelmed.
I think that's the biggest thing with Japan. It's not trying to find the information. It's the information overwhelm. Like there is so much. And there in Kyoto, there are thousands, literally thousands of temples. How do you pick which ones to go to? So I start with, really asking people like, why did you pick Japan? Like, why are you connecting with this destination? What are your interests? What are you hoping to get out of it? Something I've started asking people really early on as well is, what is your tolerance for crowds? Are you willing to brave the crowds if the thing is really cool, if it's worth it. Are you okay with crowds throughout? Are you really trying to get away from all the other people, and really getting a sense of their travel style as well. What does your perfect day on vacation look like? Because it's so different for everybody. And it can be easy sometimes as a travel planner, like, oh, this is what I would enjoy, or this is the pacing that I would like. But to really step back for my clients, what is it that you want? And what is it that you have enjoyed on your trips in the past? What makes you happy?
And I feel like that's a great starting point. And like you said, even knowing what type of traveler you are, because when I went to Japan, I'm from New Jersey, going into New York City, I'm used to dealing with like big cities, dealing with the crowds. But I tell you, Tokyo was like a whole nother level, but it's like an organized chaos. So it's definitely much more structured and not as crazy and chaotic as like New York City is, for example. But you're right, like going to some of like the popular attractions, like the crowds, the lines, you had to make sure that I got tickets like ahead of time when we were in Tokyo and we wanted to go, I think it was like to the Sky Tower. So knowing the attractions ahead of time that we wanted to visit and securing those tickets was key because we went in the month of July. So it's during the summertime. So it was pretty busy and also very hot. So, how do you say that you would balance, especially for a first timer, obviously seeing those popular landmarks, but also kind of creating an itinerary where they're seeing more off the beaten path and maybe some destinations that are not as popular as, let's say, Tokyo, Kyoto, and like Osaka?
Yeah, of course, people really want to see a lot of these really popular places. 90% of my itineraries have Tokyo and Kyoto in them. Some of them actually don't. But yeah, even for a short trip, I think it's really easy with how great Japan's public transportation system is to be able to do Tokyo, Kyoto, and a third destination that's a little bit more in the countryside, something maybe a little bit more low key, or maybe depending on your preferences, like a third city that has something else to offer. And even I'd say, yeah, with taking the train around, using public transportation, but also potentially renting a car. And there's so many places that are, within a couple hours of either of those cities or in between, where it's really easy to get something that's a little bit different in addition to kind of those big city experiences.
And
Yeah.
I love the public transportation system there because we based ourselves, we were there for 2 weeks. So we did a week in Tokyo and then partially between Kyoto and Osaka. And that's how we kind of broke it up because, like you said, those were like the popular ones. Whenever I spoke to someone, they're like, you have to go here, you have to go there. So we kind of built our itinerary with those three places being kind of like our home base. But I love that we were able to do like day trips, even outside of Tokyo. We did a couple of day trips. When we were Kyoto, we went to Nara, did a few day trips from there. So I feel like Japan is great because even if you base yourself in one location, there's so many different towns. And like when you go there, they're day and night. So like going to Nara, seeing like the deers just like roaming free, that alone was like an amazing and cool experience.
Yeah, definitely. And with like Kyoto and Osaka, they're 20, 30 minutes apart by train, and they are just personality wise complete opposites. So it's really cool to be able to do, yeah, a day trip kind of from one to the other and see Kyoto with its history and its culture and its emphasis on omotenashi, their hospitality, and then you go to Osaka and see kind of the wild free for all that is Osaka and the food and the nightlife, and just being able to see things, yeah, like you said, that are completely different. And then you can take the train 40 minutes to Nara, and there's deer, there's Big Buddha, and there's deer just chilling in the park.
I love Nara so much, and I loved Osaka, and I love Kyoto. I stayed for about the same amount of time as Rosa. I'm a teacher, so I had a little more time to stretch out my trip in the summer. I went the end of June to early July, which was rainy season, but it was still like really pretty and nice, and I had an amazing time. But I really tried when planning my itinerary to base myself in a city for a few days, do some day trips, very similar to Rosa. I was able to make it down to Hiroshima, which was one of my favorite stops on the trip. But even with those 3 weeks, I found myself just like adding so much to the itinerary. And when it came time to prune it back, it was really, really difficult because I wanted to see everything. So that's something I always run into. I want to see everything. My itinerary, I try not to keep it too busy, but it ends up a little busy anyway. So aside from wanting to see everything and do everything, what are some common mistakes that first time visitors make when going to Japan?
Yeah, I think that's such a big thing. It's having this huge list and also having like recommendations from everyone under the sun, right? And they have this huge list of, oh my gosh, well, I have to go to this place and this place and this place. And a big thing I do with people is say, like, okay, well, based on your priorities, I'm going to just get rid of half of your list. we're going to do something different. And I talk people out of things all the time. I try to talk people out of going to Kyoto and definitely trying to manage expectations, get some time in a place that's a little bit more low key. And yeah, I think really a big thing for clients I work with who have a more busy itinerary, every single one on the road will cancel at least one thing. Like they'll cancel a dinner, they'll cancel a guide. They'll be like, you know what, this was too much. And we just want to go like walk in this cute neighborhood tonight. Like we don't want to have any more things planned. So I think that's definitely a big thing that I see is yeah, it's absolutely overscheduling. And I think also for Americans who are not like you guys from an area that actually has public transportation, most of us in the States, of course, we're used to just getting in the car and driving. And so really that expectation that in Japan, like you're going to be taking the train, you're going to be walking to the train station, you're going to be walking down the subway stairs, you're going to be walking up the subway stairs, like your feet are going to be tired and you're not going to be walking 20 miles a day for your entire trip. So really kind of trying to keep things in one area at least like per day. So like in Tokyo, you will go to just this neighborhood and not try to see things all over Tokyo in one day, even though like technically, yeah, Google will tell you that it's possible, but don't ruin your trip. Just take it easy. You will see things on the way and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
That's
and
really
that's a
true.
good point too, because I know when we went, we were averaging about 20 to 25,000 steps a day. So by the end of the trip, I was like exhausted. And again, we went in the month of July, so it was also hot. So that's
my
a
gosh.
good, thing too, not to like over jam your itinerary because you don't want to be exhausted. You want to be able to actually like enjoy the destination, enjoy the site. And you bring up a good point as far as clustering things based like on a specific area. Maybe you want to go to a specific temple and then that can be like your starting point and just kind of seeing from there what other things intrigue you or are within walking distance, but don't have the expectations that now you're going to fill your day going from one side or the other because it's just not realistic. And at the end, I feel like you're just going to be burnt out.
Definitely. I think yeah, starting with something is great, like having maybe one thing planned in the morning, maybe having a dinner planned in the evening and then seeing where life takes you. Because that's such a great part of travel too. Like you don't want to have everything so planned that you don't even enjoy the destination.
Exactly. I feel like it's always like those hidden gems that always get me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this place. Maybe someone mentioned it in passing and it ends up being like the highlight of my trip. So aside from like the popular places that we just talked about, what are some other areas within Japan for like a first timer that they want to go and visit and explore?
Yeah, I would say so not a specific place, but I'd say a specific experience that I really like to recommend to people is to stay at a traditional ryokan. I'm not sure if you guys did that on your trips, but doing a oh my gosh, you have to go back and do this
We
immediately.
need to go back.
I know.
We need to go
I
back.
miss so much. We
Please
wanted
take me
to,
back.
but
I need to go back.
it was hard to find stuff within like our budget and like we're traveling as 3 adults. So like finding things within like a specific budget. So like
I will go
yeah,
into debt for this. I don't even care.
It's worth it. It's absolutely worth
I
it.
don't care. Chase Bank can scream at me. I will go into debt for this. It's fine.
I spent all my money at the stationery store and buying like souvenirs in Tokyo, which is like another thing.
I bought a whole duffel bag back, and I remember coming back to the US and they just looked at me and they're like, do you have anything to declare? And I was like, I got some stuff from the temples. I got a t-shirt. I got a Final Fantasy keychain. And they were just like, just go. Just go.
Oh my gosh. Well, when you go back to Japan, absolutely must stay at a ryokan. So this is something you find these all over Japan in the countryside. So usually it's going to be in a cute little town way out in the countryside, somewhere with natural hot spring water. And you go, you check in, you'll take off your shoes, you're walking in your socks on the tatami flooring all throughout this traditional property. You're changing into your yukata, so it's like a lightweight cotton kimono, and you wear this inside the inn, and then you also wear it to walk around the town. So everyone is dressed like this, more in traditional attire, walking throughout the town, like getting ice cream and going into little shops and things. In the evening at your ryokan, you'll have a gigantic, like 10, 12 course kaiseki dinner, which is tons of fresh seasonal ingredients. Everything is amazing. Usually they'll walk you through each course and it'll be like 10 different kinds of fish. And I've understood like 50% of what they said to me. And I'm just like, everything looks amazing, but I
It's all
don't know what
good.
any
Feed
of these
me.
things are.
It's all good. Feed me everything.
usually with like sake pairings for a lot of the different courses. And then after that, you'll have your bath. So a lot of properties will have really beautiful, like ensuite onsen baths. Otherwise, there are always public baths at the inn as well, kind of depending on your budget level and your comfort level. For a lot of Americans, of course, we don't have the culture of bathing naked. But in Japan, for the public baths, it is gender separated, bathing in the nude. You go in, you take off all your clothes, you've got like your little shower cubicle to totally wash off. And then you go in to the baths. So we've got indoor pools, we've got like outdoor rock pools looking out over mountains, or maybe you're sitting like in the snow in your hot spring bath. And there's usually like different saunas and steam rooms.
I'm like, just
It's
send me to
amazing.
Japan now. I'm
Yeah.
like, sold.
Like, stop it. Stop
Oh my God,
it.
just take me back, please.
Oh my gosh, I have this beautiful memory. Like, I spent a weekend in Nikko, which is outside of Tokyo, at a hostel, and the hostel actually had onsen, like right outside. And one night I went down there, and it was just me, just looking at the mountains, listening to nature, and it was so peaceful. And what was nice about that one is I know sometimes depending on the onsen, they can be particular about tattoos. I have one tattoo on my back shoulder, and the host was really kind, and he was like, it's not a problem. We have a lot of foreigners staying at this hostel. Go and enjoy it. And it was just such a beautiful night. I could have stayed in there for hours and hours, but I was still, I think, a little jet lagged.
They're so good. It's my absolute favorite thing in Japan. That was definitely my hobby when I lived there. I would just go and check out like different onsen in the countryside, because you can, of course, stay there overnight, but you can also go in places with hot spring water. You can just go and like pay to visit for the day. And a lot of these places, they'll have huge baths, and then they have really nice food as well, like have a nice lunch afterwards.
So
I
Sounds so
love doing
magical.
that.
I need this after my week. I just have to go back to the spa like today.
Or just book a trip to Japan. So
Yeah, just book a
Adeline
trip
can
to
plan it for
Japan.
you.
Just book a trip to Japan. Just book a trip to Japan. So for a lot of those first time visitors, I know we talked about this, they tend to like to go to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka. What tips do you give those travelers for avoiding the crowds? Because I went during the rainy season and the crowds were manageable, not nearly as bad as say like cherry blossom season or going in autumn to see the autumn leaves. And I know that those are very popular times to go. So what sort of tips do you give people?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, Tokyo is still pretty manageable, regardless of the season, just because it is a huge city and it is built to accommodate a lot of people. The subway system is really efficient, and for the most part, it works. And I think, like Rosa mentioned, really the big call outs there is to make sure that you're looking ahead to see what tickets do I need to get in advance. Because a lot of things, they do go on sale between 2 weeks and 2 months in advance. For really popular places, like you better set an alert and you better get on and buy your tickets in advance as soon as they go on sale. For Kyoto, it does tend to be harder. Kyoto is really more of like an overgrown small town with kind of the public transportation to match that. So there is a train, there is a subway, there is a very big bus network, but at this point, it is really overstretched in a lot of really popular neighborhoods in Kyoto. I was there, the last time I was there was in January. And even in January, which is very much low season in Kyoto, in Gion, the popular geisha district, the line for the bus, it was like 30 people long. It was incredible. Wow. Yeah, you're not getting on that bus. So I would say for Kyoto is really to plan ahead. If there are some really popular places that you'd like to visit, plan to visit them like earlier or later in the day. Potentially plan to visit them with a guide so you can kind of make the most streamlined day possible. And I would say don't rely on public transport in some of those really busy areas. Plan on you're going to take a taxi. Definitely from Kyoto Station to your hotel. Please don't get on the bus with your big suitcase. You're not going to fit. Everyone's going to be sad. Just take a taxi. Plan ahead. It's going to be fine. If you're more active and if it's not rainy season, rent a bike as well. A lot of places will rent e-bikes, which is really nice, and a really convenient way to get around Kyoto as well.
Yeah. That's really smart. I did a lot of like cabs during my stay in Kyoto, and it helped a lot because, like you said, some of the lines for the buses, I knew ahead of time, and I'm like, I'm not taking the chance.
Yeah, we picked like different neighborhoods and just kind of like either took the train and then from there just kind of like wandered around and walked. But the bikes is so funny because when we first got to Kyoto and we're walking around and talk about like culture shock, because you would see the bikes like outside of like the houses and the homes without a chain. And I'm like, is this normal? Because you don't see this in America. So we did see a lot of people riding around Kyoto in like their bikes and stuff. So that's definitely a really, really great tip.
Yeah, and I would say with that, because so many people bike, of course, there's really great bike lanes. A lot of times people will bike on the sidewalk. It's more common in Japan than biking on the road for a place that doesn't have a bike lane. So it's kind of the pedestrian area of the sidewalk, the bike area of the sidewalk, and then the road for cars. Another thing is parking your bike. Of course, with so many people that bike, you need to actually park your bike in a bike parking lot. A lot of times these are free, but sometimes they are paid. And as someone whose bike has gone to bike jail, actually just park your bike in the bike parking lot.
Illegal bicycle
pounded.
You're like me with the parking spots around New Jersey, except for the bikes.
It's very embarrassing to do the walk of shame, go get my bike out of impound.
Oh my gosh.
I would be mortified, especially as a tourist, to get my bike from bike jail. I would be like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Blame it on the language barrier.
Well, they usually give you a warning. Like, they'll put a little flag on it.
Okay,
And they're
so
like,
there's
if you
no
don't come back
excuse.
within an hour and get your bike, like, we're going to come
Little
back and take
flag.
it.
That's so polite,
Yeah.
just the little flag as a warning. Like, hey, like, please fix this.
Gotta love it.
Yep. There's a system. There's a system for everything in Japan.
Yeah.
I know. And that's a good point too, because I felt like with Japan, everything seemed like so organized. Like even going to like the train stations for the most part, I think we ran into one situation where we had like a little bit of like a delay. And even that, they were like so apologetic because they were like 10 seconds delayed. And I was like, you don't see this back home. Like
New Jersey Transit would never.
yeah. They'll leave you stranded and they don't even tell you they're not coming. So like I feel like coming from the US, like it definitely is a bit of an adjustment when it comes to the culture in Japan. But what would you say are some like the biggest like culture shock coming from like, you know, for a US traveler visiting Japan for the first time?
Yeah, I would say definitely a big thing is the transit, that everything is very efficient. There is a system. I think also that there is a system, and for the most part, there is no flexibility within the system. Where in the US, it's a little bit easier to maybe pay extra to get tickets for something that's sold out, or to, like at a hotel, complain and they'll kind of just throw money at you. In Japan, just this is the way it is. And we're going to try our absolute best to make sure it is absolutely amazing for you. But also, for example, at a hotel, if something is wrong with your room, they're not going to immediately refund your room. They will profusely apologize and they will try to remedy the situation, but they're not just going to give you a refund. And I see that a lot when I look at reviews for hotels, where I think there's just kind of, this cultural disconnect of what is seen as good service in the West and in Japan. I think another thing is really, in Japanese, it's called like reading the room, I guess, is how you would translate that. So really kind of adjusting your behavior to match what is going on around you. So you get on the train and you're quiet. Like you look down, you don't look at anybody, you put on your headphones, like you're not in anybody's space. You'll put your backpack on the front to take up less room, and really just trying to minimize your presence as much as possible. And then also kind of matching the presence in different restaurants, where of course there are izakaya pubs that are super loud, super rowdy, go wild, but that's not everywhere. And so definitely kind of going in and mirroring the behavior that you're seeing around you, and is something that kind of, I see like parents kind of teaching kids in Japan, like how to like, okay, we've come into this place, let's see what's happening here, and mirror that. Instead of course, as Americans, we're known for being a little bit on the louder side.
Yeah, that's
I'm from
definitely
America
true.
and I'm Dominican. So that's like a double whammy right there.
Yeah, double whammy,
Yeah.
double loudness.
I can't help it sometimes.
Double the fun, though. Double the fun,
Exactly. But I do know how to read the room. I remember when we were there and we got there, this is like on our first day, and we're walking around and we're about to cross the street. I don't see any cars coming. So like my instinct is like, cross the street. And my daughter's like, Mom, like you're so embarrassing. I said, what are you talking about? There's no car. She was like, do you see anybody else walk? I'm like, damn, calm down. Like there's no cars. And then after that, I was like, you know what? You're right. No one else is crossing the street. They actually wait for the light to turn, and then the little person starts walking, then you start walking. So after that, you kind of adjust, and I was like, all right, I need to assimilate and kind of blend in a little bit more and not look like this like crazy American tourist.
Yeah, I think things like that. But also, I think the more that I learn about the culture, the more that I learn the language, being with my Japanese in-laws, the more I realize that Like, honestly, I'm missing like 80% of what is happening at all times. So yeah, absolutely like doing your best, but also giving yourself a bit of grace, and then hopefully other people kind of giving you grace too, that you're doing your best, but like you are going to miss things. You just are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like you're traveling to a new destination too. And I know for us, like obviously the language, like I don't speak any Japanese. I try to learn like just some basic phrases just to like kind of like get me by. But even trying to communicate, I remember one day we went into a restaurant and the menu was in all Japanese, no English whatsoever. I'm trying to like Google Translate, like all I wanted was like fried eggs or something. So it took us like 20 minutes. The lady almost brought me to the kitchen and was showing me like the stuff. And I was like, I don't know. And then finally we communicated. And at the end, like we're laughing. She found the eggs, figured out how to translate it, because like Google Ads wasn't working, and it was a whole mishap. But we managed to figure it out. So also going there and knowing you are going to a completely different destination where the language is completely different. So being prepared, whether it is having like a translation app on your phone or written down like phrases that you can use for those basic communications, I think that's definitely essential because otherwise you're going to have a hard time communicating with a lot of people. And we notice that a lot in like the smaller towns.
Yeah, definitely. And that brings up a really good point too, I think, about the food, where a really big difference is dietary restrictions are a lot harder in Japan. It's something that's a lot more accepted, I think, now than it used to be, even in the last few years. And definitely places like Tokyo and Kyoto, it's really easy to get, a fully vegan, a fully gluten-free meal at a lot of places. But kind of going out into the countryside, I think really having the awareness that food allergies and dietary restrictions are still not very common in Japan. And with a lot of these really small restaurants, they make one meal. They make like one set meal for the day, and that is what they serve to absolutely everybody who comes in the door. And they really don't have the extra ingredients to be able to modify a menu. So kind of doing, if you do have like severe, dietary restrictions, food allergies, kind of preparing a little bit, doing a little bit of research in advance for places that you can definitely eat, or at least for convenience store snacks that you can get. And so you have like a little bit of something. And then also potentially going online. There are like a lot of different bloggers and things who have gluten-free or vegan. And they've made like a little translation that explains in Japanese, like, hey, I'm gluten-free. This is exactly what I can eat. This is exactly what I can't eat. Can you help me navigate the menu? And to have something like that too, especially like if you will get sick if you eat something, to have something translated before you go.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And it is true with the internet nowadays. There's a lot of really useful information out there. I know, say, if somebody's vegan, the Happy Cow is really good about listing a vegan friendly restaurants all over the world. So I could see where having, like, say, that app on your phone in Tokyo or Osaka or Kyoto, where there's more tourists, being able to readily find something. So it is true, like with the internet, it does make it a lot easier. I know something that I would do because I was traveling solo and I still have like weird hangups with dining alone, although I will say Japan made it super easy. There was so much bar seating. Like a lot of the ramen bars were very quiet, just like single seating. I absolutely loved it. It was like a solo diner's paradise. And I actually was brave enough to go to 2 Michelin star restaurants by myself, and they were great. So it was a wonderful way to practice my solo dining skills. But something else that I would do to kind of help me out is I would go to Google Maps. I would look at restaurants and reviews, and I would find reviews from tourists. And if they were just like, oh, like really friendly, really helpful, amazing service, very kind, I knew that that would be a place to try out as a solo traveler. And it didn't steer me wrong at all. Like I actually, in Nico, went to this local bar that was across the street from my hostel, and the family was so nice. They ended up giving me an umbrella, giving me ice cream. We did a lot of Google Translate back and forth. And the dad was so sweet. He was like, are you here by yourself? And when I told him yes, he was so worried about me getting back to New York safely. I was like, oh my gosh, my father would love you. But it was just like a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I think it's so great being able to now like pull out your phone and look at reviews of places. For restaurant reviews, Tabalog is
Yep.
also a really great resource. I'd say that one skews a little bit more to Japanese tastes, whereas like Google reviews are definitely more to Western tastes. So really depending on yeah, what you would prefer to do if you have dietary restrictions. Honestly, potentially how you look, really being able to look at the reviews and gauge how you will be received and how you will feel comfort-wise in these different restaurants.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know we talked a lot about Tokyo, we talked about Kyoto. Are there any regions or smaller towns that you recommend to your clients that they're always surprised by in a pleasant way? Because it does seem like everybody wants to go to those three main cities, but it's always good to get off the beaten path. So are there any destinations in particular that you'd like to highlight for us?
Yeah, I really like doing kind of the bullet train loop that goes north from Tokyo up through the Japan Alps and then stopping at kind of some of the towns along the way. So Kanazawa, Kaga Onsen, and Fukui. Kanazawa it's sometimes described as Little Kyoto because it does have a more historic working geisha district. It has a lot of beautiful original architecture, a lot of historic neighborhoods. It also has a lot of samurai and ninja history, which is pretty cool. And it has one of the top 3 landscape gardens in Japan. I wouldn't say it's significantly less crowded than Kyoto. It definitely can get busy, but it's on a much smaller scale. It's small, it's walkable, it's very manageable, and I think it's a really fun city. Kaga Onsen, also on that same train line, is a really, really great spot to do a ryokan stay. There are some, I'd say at a more budget level, there are some that are just the most incredible 5-star ryokan properties I've ever stayed at. Service is incredible. Like the owners will greet you with a little tea ceremony in the lobby. Absolutely phenomenal. That area is a little bit harder to get around without a rental car, but there are buses. Taxis are very reasonably priced. And I would say that area, if you are up for a little bit of an adventure, Kaga Onsen and kind of up into Yamanaka Onsen it's tiny, it's adorable. It is absolutely worth kind of the hassle to get up there. And then on that same train line, if you continue onwards towards Kyoto, the Fukui area, again, if you are up for renting a car, I'd say Fukui is amazing, especially if you're traveling as a family, but even for couples or solo travelers, Fukui is incredibly underrated. It is actually one of the least visited prefectures, even though it has a Heiji temple. It's this beautiful temple. You can stay there overnight and participate in the early morning Zen meditation session with the monks who live at the temple. You can they have one of the best dinosaur museums in the world here in Fukui Prefecture. It is incredibly family friendly. I went there, it was on a solo trip, and I got to the train station and it was just one of those moments where I kind of missed my kids. And there was like this huge play area with trains, like kids trains that they could play with at the train station. And I just like sat there and just bawled at the train station. So I was like, I wish my kids were here to see this. But very, very fun area, just incredibly underrated area that is so easy to get to actually from both Tokyo and Kyoto, and is very easy to do kind of on the way between Tokyo and Kyoto.
All of
Gosh,
that
I wanna
sounds
go back.
amazing. I know. I'm so ready to go
I'm
back. I
sitting
might
here
just have to.
pining. I'm sitting here pining. It's ridiculous.
No, I'm so ready. It sounds beautiful. But I had a question. As far as renting a vehicle, are you required to have like an international driver's license, or is there like a process that you have to do in order to be able to rent a car?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You do need the international driver's permit, so like $20 from AAA, the little booklet. And then, yes, you can rent anything you can do like a tiny 20cc scooter. You can't do like a larger scooter that has a passenger on the back. That would be a motorcycle license. And then you can do like a small passenger car all the way up to something that seats 8 people. And then anything larger than that, again, you need a special license. But for the regular IDP, yeah, basically any kind of regular car that you would want to drive in Japan. Yes, you would be able to rent. I highly recommend using Toyota. They do a rent-a-car service in Japan. And while not every location has staff that speak really good English, they have a lot of documentation where it explains about like the insurance and driving and all of that really well written up in English for people.
Yeah, that's good. Because I know with me, I always get nervous about renting a car. I always worry about like messing it up, and even like double in a foreign country. I'm like, am I going to go bankrupt if I have an accident?
Yeah, and in Japan, like they definitely always err on the side of more caution. So like the default insurance that you have with your rental car is the one that includes like absolutely everything. And if for some reason you like click out of that when you make the reservation online, like they will tell you when you get there, they're like, no, you really should have this insurance. And they really are very thorough thorough in terms of like checking the car, making sure you know what to do. The only thing I found that was really different as someone who's driven on the other side of the road, like in the UK and Ireland, you have to stop at every single train crossing. And there won't be a stop sign. Like you don't know that you have to stop. You just have to know that you have to stop for every single rail crossing. So I was driving my Japanese friend and she absolutely freaked out. She's like, you didn't stop.
It's like running a red light.
Yeah, like I didn't know I had to stop.
Like, where's the stop sign?
Right? Yeah, no one tells you. That's the only one that's like unclear. That is a different rule.
So listeners, if you run a car, stop at the rail crossing.
Every single one. And you can never turn left on red. So like we would turn right on red here, never turn left on red. But there's no roundabouts, which I think, like as an American, I think is like the most unnerving part of driving in the UK, where you're on the wrong side of the road and there's these giant like 5-lane roundabouts. There's no roundabouts in Japan. So speed limits are low. Everything is very civilized. You're always stopping at the red lights. And so I think it is, for me, a lot less stressful than trying to drive in the UK.
Sounds easier than driving in New York, because that's
I was going to say New Jersey. I have such road rage all the time. Someone like cut me off today. Like I was at, not to like go on a tangent, but I was going straight through a green light and on the opposite side, there's no like left turn only lane and there's no like arrow. This dude on the other side made a left-hand turn and almost plowed into me. And I'm like, what are you doing? There is no light there saying to turn left. You have to wait. You don't have the right of way. I'm sorry. I just don't see that happening in Japan. So it sounds a lot safer than driving around New Jersey.
Nope.
Yeah, no, we relied a lot on the transportation system there. I think one time we ended up taking like a taxi, but for the most part, we did like the trains. I know one of the things when I was doing like research, people were like, oh, you should get the Japan Rail Pass. So we ended up buying that. And personally, I don't think that we kind of maximize our benefits because we only ended up using it on a couple of the different transits, like going from Tokyo to Kyoto and a couple of other places. But what would you say are some other tips for like a first time? Or whether it's like buying like a specific pass or like a way as far as spending money? Should they get cash? Should they rely on their credit card? So what would be some tips for some beginners going to Japan for the first time?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of like older information on the Japan Rail Pass. They did raise their rates. I think it was the end of 2023. And there's a calculator.
Right before we went in 2024 and like we bought it. We got lucky because we bought it like a week or two before they announced the price increase.
Okay. Yeah. So if you map it out now, especially with the price increase, unless you're going to ride the train like up and down the country, it's really not worth it to have the rail pass. And also depending on what time of year, if you're going during cherry blossom season or during autumn leaves, you have to take the voucher. Once you get to Japan, you transfer this and it becomes your rail pass. But you can't reserve seats on any trains until you have that physical rail pass. So for some busy routes, like between Tokyo and Kyoto, if it's like on a holiday or if it's during busy season, I wouldn't wait. If you can, I wouldn't wait until you get to Japan to get reserved seats on those trains because you really don't want to be stuck standing up for 2 hours. So you can make reservations now for the most part. So most trains are available on like SmartX that works with the JR Shinkansen. It works pretty well for taking foreign cards. So if your card works, I would definitely say book those seats in advance. You can always change them. You can change them once you get to Japan, as long as there's seats available on the train that you'd like. But I see a lot of information online where people are like, oh, it's fine. You just rock up to the train station and get on the next Shinkansen. Like, it might be fine and you might have just ruined your trip. Like, why risk it?
Don't take the gamble.
Yeah. Yeah, for money and cash, I would say another great transit thing and cash thing is to have an IC card. So this is your transit pass, like tap on, tap off of almost any subway line, local bus, local train, streetcar, ferry in Japan. It'll work almost everywhere. This card will also let you tap to pay at like vending machines and convenience stores. Some taxis take this as a form of payment as well, so it's really nice to just put a bunch of money on that card. You can get a physical card at a train station in Japan, or you can use, if you have an iPhone, you can get the Suica app, which is Tokyo's version of the IC card. And then that's great because then it just works with your Apple Pay. And then you can use it in places that sometimes won't take credit card.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. And it was great because it like worked absolutely everywhere. I didn't have to worry about the machines. I didn't have to think entering any of the subway stations. It was great. I didn't have a single issue with it. So I absolutely agree. And it's so nice that it's linked to Apple Pay too. It just made everything seamless and perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, very convenient. I would say if you are getting the physical IC card, you have to top those up with cash. So make sure you have plenty of cash for that. And also to have cash for about 50% of taxis will take credit card and 50% don't. So making sure you have enough cash just in case for those as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely made sure that I had cash like outside of the major cities because I had heard that from friends who had been to Japan. They were just like, Tokyo's obviously fine with just like your credit card, but once you get out of those major urban hubs, it's not like the US where you can just assume credit cards are taken everywhere. Like I know in Nico the whole time pretty much I use cash for all of my expenses.
Yeah, and definitely for going into like temples and shrines, a lot of them are free. Those that do take charge entry fee, usually that's going to be cash only. So yeah, I say like having small denominations, like having coins as well. Although most places will be able to break even like a 10,000 yen, so around $100 bill. Most places will have change to break that. And then going to 7-Eleven is the best place to go for ATMs. Those ATMs always speak English. They always take your foreign cards and you can find them almost everywhere.
And you can get an egg salad
I was,
sandwich too.
I was gonna say perfect place for snacks. That's where we had like breakfast like almost every day. So convenient and cheap.
Don't even. I miss it.
I know it's not like the 7-Eleven in Jersey.
No,
So,
stop.
but we won't bash Jersey too much. But Adeline, so what other places within Japan? So let's say you're creating like the perfect 10-day dream itinerary for someone. What would that look like? And that someone could possibly be me.
All right. Well, let's say it's a second trip. It's a second trip. You've done Tokyo, you've done Kyoto. I absolutely want to talk you into going to Kyushu because Kyushu was amazing. You will love it. There are tons of amazing hot springs. The seafood, it's famous in Japan for having some of the best seafood in the country. Fukuoka, the biggest city on the island, is also known for having its own type of ramen, Hakata ramen. And so food, beaches, mountains, hot springs, like it's got everything. You should absolutely go.
I'm
So
sold.
from Tokyo, it's about a 2-hour flight, or you could take the bullet train, which is about 5 hours, but it's kind of more fun to take the train. From there, really, there's so much to see and do there. Like I mentioned, there's beaches, there's mountains, there's hiking, there is amazing food. So I love to go to places kind of along the coast and get like really, really fresh seafood. In the winter, you can get like fresh oysters and they'll grill it for you basically right on the beach. And you'll get like a poncho so that when you're grilling your fresh seafood, it's not going to like explode juices all over you.
There's no
But
thoughtful.
super fresh, super amazing. Yeah, definitely a really fun experience.
Oh my gosh, sounds amazing.
That sounds delicious. I love oysters. So sign me up. Sign me up. I'll just, pull the United app up and my finger may just slip and book a ticket to Japan. It's totally fine.
Yeah, it's a great time to go. Actually, like get your ticket for May. I feel like May is going to be a really great time. You have plenty of time to plan, think about all the amazing places you're going to eat, make some of those dinner reservations, like good to go.
That sounds so lovely. So I know you've planned so many trips to Japan. So out of curiosity, do you have any itineraries that you've planned and you're just like, wow, this is the most creative one I've ever done?
Yes. Yes, there's a
Well,
trip
let's
that
hear it.
immediately came to mind when you said that.
Let's hear it.
I would have to pull it up to see like exactly what they did, but this was a really, really cool road trip that this family did, and they did end up renting a car, and they drove through. They started in Fukui, which I mentioned earlier. They drove down to the island of Shikoku, which is going to be west of Osaka, and Kyoto is Okayama and Hiroshima. And then south of there is the big island down there is Shikoku. And if you want to talk about hidden gems, like Shikoku is not that far from Kyoto and Osaka, and no one goes there. It's incredible. It is a little bit harder to do without a rental car, but definitely possible. I've definitely done trips where you take the train down there. But this particular family, they rented a car and they stayed at like some farmhouses where they had like amazing farm to table dinners. They went whitewater rafting. They went glamping. They saw some incredible gardens. They went to some really incredible art museums. They were really into bonsai. So they went to this little garden that specialized in bonsai, and they got to learn more about like the creation of different bonsai trees. And they did Kyoto was like their last stop on the trip. And by the time they got to Kyoto, they're like, wow, Kyoto was crowded and we didn't like it at all. which I was kind of sad about because I do love Kyoto. But
did
after
too.
they'd seen all these other places, they were like, yeah, Kyoto was
Like,
the best.
okay.
My God.
And then they went back the following summer. So they traveled with me, I think like 2 summers ago, and then they went back again last summer. And they did another different road trip. But I think that first summer, that one was, the most interesting itinerary that I put together.
I'm gonna have you plan my summer trip. I'm like ready to like rock and roll. Just
I
hearing all
know.
this.
Everything sounds so awesome and places that I honestly never even heard of before. So I'm definitely intrigued to like do some more research on these places because they all sound wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's so much, and there's incredible places that are maybe locally famous or things that are very accessible and very easy to do even for visitors who don't speak Japanese. But it's just, I think with the amount of noise, like it's just so hard to get past some of those really big sites into places that are incredible.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because, like I said, when I was planning my trip, there was just like so much noise and craziness out there trying to do my research that it was very, very easy to get overwhelmed really quickly. And I think you're right. Like, I do think people like know the big places right away, but finding some of these other destinations can be a little more challenging, which is why I'm so happy that we had you on the show. Like, I want to go to all of these places now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Like I could talk about this for hours. Be like, yes, I would love to talk in detail about this other cute little town that you could go to.
And I feel like there's like a part 2 coming. So
There's a part 2 coming. You'll have to do a part 2 and we'll have to like do like some deep dives into specific regions. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I am so excited this year. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm heading to Japan next month. I'm actually going to be there for the whole year.
nice.
So I think my list is too long. Like I've got a really long list of places that I haven't been or places that I need to revisit. So it's going to be a really big one for me for kind of expanding the different places that I'm offering to clients too. So I'm really
That's
excited.
incredible. We're really excited for you. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go ahead and switch off to some fun rapid fire questions?
Oh gosh. All right. I'm ready.
You're in the hot seat. All right. So, would you rather spend a week exploring hypermodern Tokyo neighborhoods or get lost in the back streets of Kyoto's historic districts?
No question. Get lost in the back streets.
That
I know. Take us with you.
I love that. It's so true. Like you could just Japan is like the only place I would do this. You could just go down some tiny random alleyway and it could be like even a little later at night and you'll just find the most amazing places to have a beer and some food. It's wonderful.
Seriously.
It's so true. I would never do that here. Japan, I would do that every day of the week.
Yeah. And I have to say, too, with Japan, I mean, at least the time that we were there, not once were we like afraid or like felt
God,
like
no.
unsafe. Like, I feel like Japan is one of those places. So, my daughter, she's 20 years old. And just the thought of her, like, I promote, like, yeah, solo female travel. But the thought of her going somewhere by herself, I'm like, yeah, not my baby. But
That's
if
me
she
with
were
my
to,
students. I'm like, no. I teach high school and the thought of them going somewhere by themselves, I'm like, yeah, don't do that.
But I feel like Japan's like the one place that I genuinely, as a parent, will feel okay if she said, I'm gonna go there like on a solo trip. Because honestly, like I've really enjoyed it. Even with like the language barrier, like I felt like it was super easy to still kind of communicate the transportation system. Not once did we feel like unsafe. So I think Japan is like definitely a great destination, even for like a first timer that's going out there and adventuring on to a solo adventure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, next one. Would you rather splurge on a Michelin starred sushi meal or eat your way through convenience store snacks and street food for the day?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think I would have to go combini stacks and street food.
I love that 7-Eleven. I would eat those egg salad sandwiches all day. My mom and I tried to recreate it and it was good, but
Great.
it was
Not the
it
same.
was good, but it was not the same.
Yeah, it's the tuna mayo rice ball. It's my go-to at 7-Eleven. Plus, now that they have
Yes.
the smoothie machines, make your own little smoothie. It's healthy, it's quick.
And I love the ice cream. Those like ice cream bars with the chocolate. Oh, I can't.
I know. It's like all the memories. This is one of the things that I really wanted to do in Japan that I did not get to do, and that was karaoke.
I
So
did
would you
this
I'm so jealous. So would you
twice.
rather get stuck singing karaoke with strangers who take it very seriously or be forced to perform solo in front of your entire tour group?
Can I just say no?
Do this.
Absolutely
I'll give the
not.
mic to someone else.
I've been to karaoke once. My friends dragged me once. Nope, did not enjoy. It's a pass
Yeah.
from me.
3 times, like, one at the end of the food tour in Osaka, and that was a lot of fun, and I actually became, like, friends with one of the girls in the tour group, and we went again to karaoke in Tokyo, just the 2 of us, and then I met another girl who I met on a tour in another tour in Osaka, and we went again, so I went 3 times with strangers, and I was just, like, belting Spice Girls at the top of my lungs. I did not care.
Sounds like a fun time.
I love that for you. I'm glad you had a great time.
You're like, I'll pass.
So
Yeah.
many blackmail, like, videos. I remember sending my family, like, videos, and I'm like, "Look at how much fun I'm having," and they text back, "Did you have too much sake to drink?"
It's like the liquid courage.
Like, what is this? This is what you flew 14 hours.
My God, I love it. I love it. So, Adeline, before we wrap up, what would you say to someone who's thinking about going to Japan and they just need a little extra push and words of encouragement?
You're going to have an amazing time. I would say do some research in advance, but don't make it your whole trip. Like we talked about, I think just let the spontaneous happen. And also, like we talked about, like, it is so safe. I say for the most part, like, of course, be aware of your surroundings, but honestly, like, yeah, just go wander around by yourself at night and see what you stumble upon and just kind of let those serendipitous travel moments happen to you because you will absolutely find them in Japan. And it'll be the best memories of your trip.
It's so true. I miss it so much. I really do. I have to go back. To reiterate, go. Please, listeners, go. If you have a chance to go to Japan, go. I say do it. Rosa says do it. Everyone says it. Just book the ticket.
Exactly. Just do it. I know. I might just have to tell my daughter, like, listen, Sam, I'm the parent. I'm going to Japan without you.
She's not listening to this.
Hopefully she won't.
Gosh, that's so funny. Well, thank you so much. And that's a wrap on this week's episode of Bon Voyage Besties. So if you are all thinking about going to Japan, absolutely do it. Thank you so much for being on the show, talking about how to put together the perfect Japan itinerary. And again, listeners, try not to be overwhelmed by all of the noise and all of the chaos on the internet. There's a lot of information out there, but leave some of those magical moments. So if Japan is calling your name and you want a trip that feels completely tailored to you, be sure to follow our amazing guests on Savor and Soak on social media. I know I am certainly going to be following her. And if you love this episode, also don't forget to subscribe, drop us a review. It really does help Rosa and I out. And yeah, we're super excited to hear about all of your Japan travels because you're all going to go now. I know I certainly am. I'll be looking at those flights for the millionth time this year. And until then, happy travels and bon voyage besties.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys
Thank
in
you.
Japan.
Bye.
Bye. See you in Tokyo. Bon voyage.